Against odds of 250 million to 1, Mohamed and Ahmed Gad were born joined at the head.
If you looked at the boys, they looked like they were supposed to be made that way. There were no seams, there were no splits, there was no wound of any kind. They were just perfectly shaped, but joined at the head.
They share one skull, and as far as anyone can tell, one brain, which is fed by one blood supply. The case presents a host of unknowns, but one thing is crystal clear. If these boys are to have any quality of life, they have to be separated.
There's absolutely no guidebook for the separation of any conjoined twins. Add to it being attached at the head, you have the case of a very, very difficult situation.
But to attempt a separation of the boys carries enormous risks. Does this team of surgeons really have what it takes to pull off the impossible?
The biggest fear is that if they were separated, maybe one of them wouldn't survive, or both.
And how can a pair of extremely compromised 2-year-olds hope to survive in the wake of one of the most difficult and enigmatic procedures known to modern medicine?
Cases beyond doctors' reach. Conditions beyond answers. Stories beyond belief. Beyond ordinary.
Kos, 400 miles south of Cairo, a town where hustle and bustle hides the harshness of daily life. It was to this grim and overcrowded one-room hospital in Kos that Saba Abu Al-Wafa came in early 2001 to undergo an ultrasound scan. She already had 2 children, and this pregnancy seemed like any other. But little did Saba know that this seemingly routine scan would deliver earth-shattering news and change her life forever.
Dr. Safa told me there was something extremely unusual going on. She said she could see twins, but only one head.
In disbelief, Sabar's husband ferried her from doctor to doctor, hoping for better news. But all the scans came back the same. The twins were joined at the head.
I didn't believe it. I said, no, that's nonsense. My wife is going to give birth, and the twins are going to be totally fine.
On June 2nd, 2001, the twins were delivered, and as their scans indicated, they were conjoined. But even the medical professionals were shocked by the twins' appearance.
I saw an octopus, loads of arms and loads of legs, and one head, and my heart sank.
The Ibrahim's twins were joined at the head, a condition called craniopagus. With almost 40% of conjoined twins being stillborn, and another third dying within 24 hours, the chances of the Ibrahim's twins surviving were very slim.
Dr. Safa came to me and told me that not many of these cases last. It was one of the most difficult moments of our lives.
The twins were immediately transferred to Cairo, and the country's leading medical specialists called in.
The 2 brains actually fused together, but this was not the most important. The most important was the extensive network of veins that were crisscrossing across the 2 skulls. This was something freaky, actually.
The boys, named Mohamed and Ahmed, have beaten the odds by surviving their birth. But their long-term health and development was at risk if they remained joined at the head, and the prospect of a successful separation surgery seemed impossibly remote.
There's absolutely no guidebook for the separation of any conjoined twins. The recording of 60 separation of craniopagus twins. 30 died. 18 had severe neurologic deficit. And the remainder, which is a handful, were okay, but none in which there was a situation where both did well.
The twins' chances were looking bleak, But Dr. Nasser refused to give up on them.
I felt that there is hope for these kids. And the point is to seek that hope.
Dr. Nasser has put his faith in the team of surgeons at Medical City in Dallas, led by craniofacial surgeon Dr. Kenneth Salia.
Okay, so this is where we're going to be making our incision. We're going to take good care of Adam, and I'll take care of him just like he was my grandson. Okay, I promise you.
His successful pioneering surgery on children with head and face deformities has made him world-renowned.
Very good.
Despite knowing the odds against a successful separation of the twins, Dr. Salia is at least prepared to explore the possibility of surgery and invites the twins to Dallas to be evaluated.
At the time, I was a bit lost. My thoughts were all mixed together. I don't know what decisions I'm making. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. I don't know. I'm just a simple guy.
Just after their first birthday, Ibrahim and Saba finally agree for their twins to go to the U.S. for diagnosis and assessment by Dr. Salia. Their future is now in his hands.
The first time I met him was in the hospital. Here's two boys attached, long gone, length on, not able to look at one another.
I know.
Oh, boy.
I know.
Oh.
I know. I saw that earlier.
Look at that. I didn't see it. I mean, this is really, really broad.
Yeah.
It's because they've been laying on their back. With their skulls distorted and misshapen from lying flat for a year. My heart really opened up to them, and they caught me emotionally because it was obvious to anyone that these two boys are not going to be able to have any kind of a life because they are attached this way. Mobility is impossible, and survival is questionable.
But with the risk so high, will Dr. Salia be willing to put his reputation and the lives of two young boys on the line and try the impossible? Mohamed and Ahmed Gad were born in Egypt, conjoined at the head, a rare condition called craniopagus. They have just flown to Dallas to explore the possibility of separation surgery. Dr. Kenneth Salia and his team, however, will not commit to separating until the boys have had a series of major preliminary tests. Their chance of survival without an operation is unlikely, but the experts also know that separation surgery itself is rarely successful.
I knew from the history that it was a dismal possibility that the chances are less than 10% of successful separation for all types of twins, including that type that they had. I feel that we have one of the best teams in the world. If anyone can do it, we can do it. And yet, here's the problem. Here's the difficulty. And how do we go from here to there?
The first stage is to see what is going on inside the twins' conjoined skull. While the scans show the boys each have their own brain, further inspection reveals a mass of jumbled veins and vessels that will have to be untangled during separation.
The way our brains drain the blood is by big veins that are called sinuses. And there is one big long vein that runs medially on the top of the head.
Instead of each of their brains having this one long drainage vein, the twins share one, and it will need to be divided. Not only will this make surgery more complex, but more importantly, it will put Mohamed at serious risk.
There was concern about establishing enough supply of venous drainage for his brain, and that there was no possibility for Mohamed to make it. So that then precluded us separating the boys. Nowhere are we going to do this.
The philosophy of a physician is first do no harm. Okay, so the concept of separation initially comes